Hey, this is Avery Sunshine, and I am in the basement with JaVonne and Terez, shining.
Hey, this is Gina Breedlove, and you're listening to In the Basement with JaVonne and Terez.
What's up? It's your girl Monifa, and you're tuned in to Brunch in the Basement with JaVonne and Terez.
Hey, it's your girl Allison Williams, and you're in the basement with JaVonne and Terez.
Hey, this is Lenny Williams, and you're listening to Brunch in the Basement with JaVonne and Terez, playing my kind of music.
Still in the basement, no longer alone, with my homegirl Terez on the microphone. Music politics are just chatting it up. Brunch in the basement, see that's what's up. You never know who might run through. Legendary artists or someone brand new. You miss a lot when you miss one day. At least that's what I heard somebody say. But it doesn't really matter what whoever says. It's always a good show with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Brunch in the basement with JaVonne and Terez. Yeah. Let's see who we got today.
Come on, everybody's a friend in my head. I already know everybody.
Whatever it is, it's gonna be good.
One day I'll tell you about me and Shaka Khan, but you know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but she doesn't know anything about it. But anyway. No, she doesn't. She wasn't even there actually. But anyway, but she did mention none other than Shaka Khan as one of her.
Why you gotta say? Wait a minute. Why you gotta say Shaka? She did mention no other than Shaka Khan. I'm like, where does your voice go? What happens? What's happening? Even the mere mention of her name. Silence. Oh gosh.
Would you believe I'm blushing?
Yes. Hard. You're speechless blushing. That's the thing. Speechless blushing.
Grazi, I can't help it.
There's a Shaka rehab, you know.
If there's a cure for this, I don't want it. I don't want it.
Our senses, though, Jay. She's got our ears and
I'm gonna send y'all some perfume. I'll definitely get an address. I'll send y'all out tomorrow.
You can send me some cologne, because I mean, you know, yeah. Just in case I should meet Shaka Khan, I want to smell really, you know, nice.
Oh God.
Okie dokie, man. Whatever you say.
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Shaka Hanukkah. All right, thank you. Let's carry on. I'm sorry.
JaVonne, yeah, there's a pill you're going to be able to take for that.
I promise not to tell them which way you went, but they're coming for you.
The time, so
and we thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes,
thank you. This part, that little piece, I'm just gonna keep and play it all the time for myself. But no, I'm just teasing.
And I think it's time, Terez, to do a little rapid fire with Mr. Richard Pryor Jr.
I think so. So yeah. Don't worry, we won't hurt you.
You know, again, I just wanted to show everybody what the Juneteenth flag actually looks like, because a lot of us don't even know, wouldn't even recognize it. Be like, is that Puerto Rico? No. No, that's the Juneteenth flag. And so if they want to start celebrating a thing, then we need to make them feel nauseous about it. How about that? How about that? Let's start waving the damn Juneteenth flag or something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just don't know. But I'm really grateful that we're going to have these two wonderful young ladies come on and talk about what they've been doing. And again, don't forget, if we don't mention it again, if you're anywhere near Harlem, get yourself uptown and check out the ongoings. And instead of doing the Black History moment that I would normally do, I will play the little video Black History thing to introduce our guest. Yay! Okay.
Boom, you just dropped in.
Yeah, they just dropped on in. So, representing Black Femicide.
Yes, that's correct.
And Daily Black History Facts. We have Rosa and Carletta, and I want to welcome you both to the show. My name is JaVonne, and this is Terez. How are you ladies doing?
Doing good. It's hot down here in the South. It's almost 95 already. So I'm trying to stay cool.
And Carletta, how are you, darling?
Happy Juneteenth, everyone. I'm good. Thank you for having me on here. I'm a little nervous. I didn't know we was gonna drop in like that. I was all dancing.
That's what's up. Nothing to be nervous about. We all family here, you know. And first off, let me just say that I thank you both for what you are doing. You know, you may not even realize how important it is that you are spewing Black facts and that you are bringing awareness to Black femicide. You know, those are, you know, extremely important things. And on a day like today, the first I guess federally recognized holiday for Juneteenth, and we don't know what it will become, but I think that we should take it and make it into something. But I'm gonna start with you and find out, Carletta, what inspired you to start the Daily Black History Facts.
Oh, okay. So I've always loved history growing up. Like in high school, just for fun, I took music history, I took art history, I took California history because I'm born and raised in California. And as I got older, you know, I had already learned a lot about Black history from my parents. Like we would go to Juneteenth celebrations in Los Angeles and Long Beach. But as I got older, I realized like, oh, it's beyond 28 days. And then so when I got on social media, my oldest son, he's 26, and he was like, "Oh, Black History Month is over." It was March 1st, and I was like, "We have Black History all year long." And he's like, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna show you." So a friend of mine was like, "You're always putting up Black History facts. Go ahead and start a page." And I started this page, and I didn't think anybody was gonna follow it, you know, because I was just like, who really cares about Black history? Because I'm very like, nobody's gonna read it. Surprisingly, I got a lot of hate messages from Black folks and white folks saying you're keeping racism up, because I do it chronologically, right? So whatever happened on this day in history, that's what I put up. I tell the story. I don't give my opinion unless someone come on there real crazy. So a lot of it dealt with lynchings and beatings. And they were like, you're just rehashing old stuff. And I'm like, when people remember Pearl Harbor, are they react? You know what I'm saying? It's okay to remember all those things. All I'm doing is putting it up. Y'all are taking this real personal, and then people started noticing it. And I was like, okay, I'm only gonna do it for a year. And then a year, I started in 2012, and every year that I would go on, I would learn new facts for that day, and some I had never heard of. And then I started doing something where Black History Month, all the facts would still go up for each day. But then I broke it down as what we're going to feature during Black History Month. So one year I featured slave narratives, because a lot of people hadn't read slave narratives, and a lot of people play with slavery and that word, especially when it pertains to us. Oh, I'm going to the plantation to work today. Y'all are playing with slavery. Let me give you a slave narrative to read. One year I did Black inventors, Black scientists, mathematicians, all sorts of things you can think of. And I do it, it's not just in America. I give you Black history all over. So I have people in different parts of Africa like, oh my God, you remember this happened on this day in our country. Thank you. And I'm like, it's a Black history. We Black. You know what I'm saying? So I just did it to prove to my son that it's all year long. And, I know some people only celebrate it in February, and that's okay, because in February, I get more traffic. I get more people wanting to know more Black history facts. On Juneteenth, more people wanting to know. And I love it. And so I tell people Black history is celebrated here in Canada. In the UK, they celebrate it in October. They celebrate it in different parts of Germany and Ireland. And people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, Black history is celebrated. There's Black people everywhere. So I ran my mouth. Okay.
No, that was amazing. And thank you for that. Thank you for that. And thank you for your contribution. It's often funny when you talk about what motivates you. Here you were just trying to sow you thought. That's the power of God, because you could be thinking of one thing or one way to do it, and he can elevate what's necessary to live in the world in such a special way. And thank you for that, Ms. Carletta. Thank you.
No,
that's amazing. You wanted to teach your son or show your son, and you taught sons and daughters.
Yes.
And myself, because some stuff I'm reading like, what? And I'm like, oh, I'm putting this up. Yeah, our history is so full of good, bad, ugly, beautiful, wonderful, bad, sweet, everything you can think of, and then in between. It didn't start with slavery, it didn't end with slavery, and it's everywhere. We have contributions everywhere and in the galaxy. So yeah.
So let's speak with Rosa for a minute, and let's talk about what is Black femicide. How did you get involved with it, and what made you start the movement? I feel like it's a movement.
Okay, well, thank you, both of you, for having me today. Thank you, Carletta, for everything you do with me, because me and Carletta also work together, and there's another young lady who works with us, Sasha. I might be the creator and founder, but I want to tell you, I have to give Carletta and Sasha their props. I'm more of a person in the background. I like being in the background. I like doing stats and numbers. They have the younger energy than I do.
I feel you.
They're very, very, very proactive. That's my granddaughter. They're very much about sisterhood. People throw that word around, but she exemplifies what being a sister is. She truly is her sister's keeper, her and Sasha both. And, you know, I'm grateful every day. And I just want to publicly acknowledge both of them and how much I appreciate them. Now, how I got started in this is that I've been a nurse for 31 years. So I've worked in the public. I've worked with the Black community. In particular, I like working with my people because we need people who look like us to be advocates for us. It's one thing to, you know, use your career to, you know, better your life and your children's life. That's fine. I'm so sorry. But if you can't help others in your community, really, what are your talents for? So I personally started noticing in the community that when I'm intaking patients, when I was doing more bedside nursing, at this point, I really don't. But I do utilization review. So I mainly work in the background and I supervise. But anyway, when I was doing bedside nursing, when you do intake on patients, no matter if it's in the clinic, the hospital, ER, you're asking different types of questions. I noticed when I was taking in a lot of my Black women and girls, a lot of them had a history of abuse, whether it be physical, mental, and unfortunately, so many of us suffer through sexual trauma. They do not want to really talk about it. You know, they don't get therapy. Their families might be aware because there are other people in the family, friends, neighbors, who are actually the perpetrators, and they want to brush it under the rug. They don't want to talk about it because, you know, and really before I get deeper into this, I want to preface this by saying this is not about hating Black men. This is about accountability in our community. Violence is primarily perpetrated by the Black males in our communities. That's not to say and exonerate Black women, because I feature Black women on the page who murder and abuse just as well. So it's not like I'm parsing and, you know, just looking at one sector. I look at it all, but the main perpetrators of Black femicide are Black men. So in our community, there's this indoctrination primarily given, put upon Black women and girls that we have to protect Black men and boys at all costs. We have to put our needs and, you know, what it is that harms us in the background, because that can be taken care of later, because everything is against the Black man and the boy, systemic racism, you know, just everything is against them. So when I start noticing things that were going on in our community towards Black women and girls, I started documenting it. I started documenting it literally about 3-4 years ago. And as I say, I'm a reluctant activist because this was not anything for me to create a movement. This was purely for me to take these numbers down. And I was personally, my objective is to get legislation changes, to get laws changed and enacted, to get domestic violence registries, just like you have sex registries. I'm more about the political side of it and changing things. We can't, you know, ignore this. Just like the missing and murdered Indigenous women, we need to realize that there are missing and murdered Black women and girls, and they take precedence just as much as anyone else. But for some reason, politicians do not want to address that, because to address what's going on with the Black female in the community would somehow be an indictment against the Black man. And right now, that is just a hot button topic that nobody wants to address. Now, as far as what Black femicide is, femicide. Okay, Asaya, just one moment, honey. Femicide is generally understood to involve the intentional murder of women because they are women or girls, but broader definitions include any killings of women and girls. Now, we know what femicide is globally. When we hear the word femicide, you know that it happens in places like Africa. It happens in places like in Asia as a whole, in South America, in different places. But for some reason, people become complacent and they don't want to recognize that we have femicide in America as well. I have talked to different politicians. I even have talked to someone at the UN to try and get femicide. And I asked them specifically, why doesn't the United Nations recognize Black femicide? Their answer to me was, as a whole, the United States will not recognize femicide because that makes it appear that they are not a first world country and they do not take issues of women seriously. So the United Nations has the United Nations won't even touch this. I'm glad to see that more people are starting to pick up the momentum of the page and what the goal and the mission is, because I feel that when Black women, when we start prioritizing our needs, people will listen. We are a powerful group. If we can go in for politicians and change states from red to blue, and people are always saying, oh, we must thank Black women for doing these things for us. But once it's said and done, they don't think about us anymore. So we need to start thinking about changing things positively for us, for our future. Because the way I feel, when you kill a Black woman or girl, you're not just killing that one person, you're killing and slaughtering generations to come.
Powerful words. Powerful words. That's amazing. You said so much right there. You know?
Yes. And as of today, I have accounted for 618 Black women and girls that have been murdered as of today. And there are more, because at this time they are unidentified. So I try not to account for unidentified or people who are Jane Does until the end of the year, because that's when I do my every 8 hours, or we say how many hours. Like the last data was from 2016, the FBI, and this was a general, this was across the board. They said it was every 19 hours. Well, from my estimation, as of today, it's like, what is it, Carletta? 6.25, 6.5.
It's every 6 hours, and we're gonna have South Africa numbers. South Africa is every 3 hours, and so we get a lot of pushback because we're talking about Black women. We get a lot of pushback. Well, what about other women? Okay, I can't concern myself with white or women of color. I got to concern myself with Black women and girls, because we are being killed daily. And of course, domestic violence is a big problem. We are the biggest group, the biggest victims of domestic violence in America. But you have situations where women have left. You have situations where women and girls are just at a park and they're enjoying life and they're being gunned down. It's been out of hand. Last year we counted 1,000 women, 1,000 girls, 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 1,000 wo 1,164 Black women and girls murdered. And that's during a pandemic. That was during a pandemic. It has jumped in the last 2 years up to 47%, a 47% jump. Where summer doesn't start for another 2 days or so. And we're already at over 600. And people blow us off because we're not talking about all Black people, or we're not talking about all women. And it's just hard to get. People want us for votes. People want us to march for everyone. But when it comes to standing up for us and being voices for us, then it's, well, we can't, And so with Rosa doing this, I don't even remember how we found each other. I just know several years ago, I just noticed like a lot of Black women and girls were being killed, but people weren't saying anything about it. And I had been following her page, but I didn't know her, as well as Sasha. Me and Sasha had been friends on Facebook for a while, and it just, we just got fed up. And so, and we're not allowed to talk about the primary abusers. Now, like Rosa said, when we see a Black woman or girls killed, we don't know who did it until we read the story. And we don't care who did it. If you are a woman and you've killed another Black woman, you are a problem. If you've killed a Black girl and you are a woman or non-Black folk, you are a problem. We are concerned about Black women and girls because the numbers keep rising, and we can't get people collectively to care. They want us to bring in women of color. And that, I'm not a woman of color, I'm a Black woman.
Let me ask you this. And I'm only asking because maybe it's a way to get the others interested, or to get it out there more. Have you guys, ladies, looked at this comparatively to other races? Like, let's just say it's 618 Black women thus far this year. How many white women? So if the number is like 100 white women and it's 600 Black women, that's a disparity that must be paid attention to. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and we do put those numbers out there. We do say a black woman or girl is sometimes 4 to 6 times as much at risk of being murdered than a white woman. I get upset when people try to come to us and tell us it's a crime of proximity. Well, if it's a crime of proximity, that would mean other races across the board would be murdering those close to them at the same rate. And that is not happening. I had a man today come on my Twitter page and say that these are crimes of proximity, and Black women are killing Black men just as much. And we know that that is not true, because if Black women were out here killing Black men and boys at the same rate, there would be marches, heads would roll, the gutters would literally be filled with blood, because nobody would take Black women being on this murderous rampage. And that's to me, that's what it is. It's an act of community terrorism. And I call people who perpetrate this violence, I call them community terrorists, because what they are doing are terrorizing the community. I also do blame judges, the way the system is set up, because I do understand that, there are racial injustices as far as the penal system is concerned. But when you have men or anyone with a history of violence who have been physically violent and initially might be attempted murder, but they're repeated domestic violence or felonious assault, they let these people walk back on the street to continue on their reign of terror. They give these people low to no bail. And a lot of times they're coming back into the community to victimize the most vulnerable, be that Black women, children, or the elderly. These something has to be done. These judges need to be recalled. They need to be held accountable. And I'm sorry, but the low to no bail with certain crimes should not be allowed. I just posted a story today about a man who killed a woman, and a Black woman. He was given $150,000 bond. Now, there is a woman, conversely, when women commit the same crimes as men, they get much stiffer penalties. I'm going to post a story today about a woman who went on a stabbing rampage a day or so ago. She killed her 7-year-old daughter and stabbed her 16-year-old brother. Her bond is set at something like $1.5 million. And this, when we talk about racial injustice and racial disparities, we do need to take into account gender. Women are treated more harshly within the legal system than men. And that, again, is because men are the primary lawmakers and policymakers, and they are setting it up. And it does not make a difference. We need to get out of this thing that if you're a Black man, that the laws are set against you. I can give you issue after issue, incident after incident, where Black males are taken with no harm coming to them into custody, where their bails are set low, where they're set free back into the community with a tether on their ankles. It is ridiculous. We need to start studying these things for ourselves, which is what I started out doing. It. That's why I say I'm a reluctant activist, because this was not really activism for me, but it has turned into that. So people, we need to start studying these things. We need to stop repeating what everyone else is saying. Stop repeating these things about laws are set up against our community, because they're not, especially when it comes to violence. I personally, if there is an agenda, I think there is an agenda for us to wipe each other out. And that's why they are letting these terrorists continue to come back into the community. So, I have had to profile victims who I know personally, but what can I do? The incident back in Michigan a few years ago, where the guy murdered his children, his 2 children and his wife's 2 children, and made her watch as he killed them in front of her. He had been released from prison from killing his first wife, who was pregnant, and he called the police and sat there and waited for them. And he did it again when he killed his wife, his own 2 children, and his 2 stepchildren. I knew them personally. They were close friends with my niece and my sister. So I knew these people, and I know how the laws are set up. And when I speak about indoctrination with Black women are taught, and we have to call it what it is. We are indoctrinated to forgive and forget whatever the Black man does. He deserves a 2nd, 3rd, and 10th chance. I personally don't believe any criminal when they commit certain violent acts. I personally just don't believe they're redeemable. I just don't, because the recidivism rate proves my point. Her own father, the woman that I'm speaking about, her own father was a pastor. He went to the parole board and got that man released. He convinced his daughter to marry this convicted murderer who was released, he convinced his daughter to marry this man, only for this man to be released to do the same thing to her. And her 4 children are just gone. 4 children just gone. And she's left to pick up the pieces. He nearly killed her, but he really wanted to hurt her. And after he did what he did the same thing from the first murder. He called the police, told them what he did, and was sitting on the front porch waiting for them. So I can, again, give you incident after incident after incident that shows that the laws are set up in our community for us to become victims. And as Black women, we need to start protecting ourselves, our children, and anyone else that we love. And we need to start telling these legislators that if they don't start prioritizing issues in our community, that they're out. We proved we could do it with Stacey Abrams. We need to prove that we are for ourselves, and let these politicians know, giving us a little recognition, and nothing against Juneteenth, but giving us a little piece of some crumbs off the table, but you're not setting any legislation. It doesn't make any sense. There's only one state in the United States, Minnesota, that has actually said that missing and murdered Black women and girls actually deserves to be a law. But for some reason, it has stalled in their Senate for some reason.
You said a lot again. Terez?
Listen, there's so much to unpack with that, Rosalind. Thank you. One of the things that you said, or one of the things that, I think I heard you say, because we got to remember sometimes these moments can be taken a lot of different ways, and the idea that we bring each other to the table for conversation is real. When you say, and we were talking about this before you came on, which is funny. I'm not sure of how much of the show you saw or listened to, but we were talking about the Juneteenth, and I likened it to, yes, a lot of us have been celebrating that and acknowledging, let's just say, it's a better word, JaVonne, thank you, acknowledging the fact that, 2 years after, slavery was supposed to be abolished, Texas went through a mental health crisis, that's what I'm going to call it, and did not tell the slaves there that they were free, in fact. And ignorance is no defense. I've heard some people say, oh, well, no, because it's your responsibility as the overseer to do what the law says do. So 2 years later, we have Juneteenth, right? And we're talking about this administration. Well, I'll keep it on me. I was talking about this administration and just thinking about like some of those campaign promises that went around and how they were very prioritized and how they were very, very clear, and how we rallied in campaign and how you publicly thanked, Black women particularly for your seat that you now hold. And I'm just waiting, for some of these campaign promises to show up, in a way that respects and protects the Black women, and in ways that it respects and protects. Now, and I used the analogy, and it was, that pen, it really works well when it comes down to inking and signing other laws in effect. No disrespect whatsoever on any hate crimes for anybody, but if anybody in the history of the United States of America, and quite frankly, anywhere else in the world, deserves, should have, how the kids say, should have been had something in existence for hate crimes, it should have been Black people, period. I don't know how that's negotiable. I don't know how that's not thought of, but that pen really, really worked fast, and I just didn't see it coming. So it's like, likened it to making curry chicken, and you don't have curry. So you say to your child, could you do me a favor? Could you run to the store and get me some curry for this curry chicken? And he comes back with tomato sauce. I know on my desk, there are a lot of things to do if I wanted to kind of make this short and sweet, and each day, the last thing that you have to do is on top generally. And I'm trying to figure out of all the things that we've asked for, because we don't make it a secret. Like, we tell you what we need. So you can't even say, we didn't know, we've been, listen, it's dropped off planes, carrier pigeons. It's been shot through the sky. It's been yelled. Hell, it's been yelled at right before. Listen, you come up with, we're going to give them a Juneteenth holiday out of all of 2020. Now we'll take it. But at the end of the day, okay. And the part in history that they're not going to teach you, JaVonne, you made a great point too. So now you got a federal holiday. So you're going to have to now teach as a teachable holiday at this point. But I'm praying whoever writes that particular curriculum is someone of color that can tell you the story, not the whitewash version of it. I don't want no saviors, no Tarzans, no Liz Taylors playing Cleopatra, none of that shit. Just tell the story. And let's get it on. You know what I mean? Let's just get the story, because the United States has a big thing with that R word, that responsibility. And this shit ain't going away until somebody is responsible and accountable. And then we talk about reparations for it. That's my story.
Now, I had to interject. First of all, let me tell you something. I don't trust the school system. Listen, they don't even teach handwriting no more. So they didn't even teach Black folks that Hamilton owned slaves and he was a slave broker. Y'all out here dancing to Hamilton. No, listen. We'll teach it in the summer. I've taught my kids about it. Reparations during the Tulsa riots anniversary, I forgot who Joe Biden spoke with, but he has said that his plate was too full to deal with the reparations task force. I was like, y'all know he done played in your face. He been playing in your face since the 90s, really since about the 80s. But, I said, listen, they didn't give y'all, Juneteenth as a federal holiday, that's gonna shut y'all up until 2024. That they said, listen, y'all ain't gonna talk about reparations no more, and we wait till 2024. We're gonna lie to you again, and then we're gonna say we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna do that. Y'all gonna say, yeah, they gonna do this. They different than the Republicans. Listen, when you say, listen, it's one bird. There's a right wing, there's a left wing, but it's still on the same bird.
Hello.
You know what I'm saying? It's still on the same bird. And so, listen, I'm already seeing Juneteenth being gentrified. I'm like, listen, I'm going to stay home and celebrate because, listen, non-Black people gonna start showing up in dashikis. Listen, I'm not gonna do it. They gonna turn it into a whole Christmas, Easter. Listen, and as far as I'm concerned, I know that Miss Opal, and several other politicians have been doing this for a long time, but I thought reparations is what they had. Because listen, people want the police to fund it. Biden said last year that ain't gonna happen. So, matter of fact, we gonna fund them, right? Scratch that off. The whole student loan debt. He like, no.
He backtracked on that one.
Yeah, he ain't gonna do that. So I'm like, he played with y'all about, I'm gonna get this task force and all this thing for reparations, and now he like, listen, give them Juneteenth, and they're gonna be quiet. They're gonna be quiet.
That was a big mistake. That was a big mistake on his part. Really, that was not even smart, because if anything, it has poked the sleeping bear a little bit more, and not that we were completely asleep, but nodding off a little bit, getting tired. that rejuvenated people, because you can't throw a piece of cheese at you know, there's this thing going on. How do you make your baby stop crying on TikTok, right? And you throw a piece of cheese on the baby's face, and the baby, after a minute, the baby's going to take the cheese off the face and really get upset. Like, okay, now you just fucking, excuse my language, now you just messing with me. And that's what Juneteenth is. It's like,
not what I asked for.
That's not what I need. That's not what I need. That was a cute trick, but that's not what we need. So I want to ask you, Carletta, when you do daily Black history facts, right? And you find something that, how would you present Juneteenth?
Well, I always present it like, you know, I've been presenting it since day one. What it is tells it's a short story about why Juneteenth why we celebrate Juneteenth, what it is. Like I was just looking on it. I was looking at something from 2014 I posted. And you can't see it, but it says Happy Juneteenth. And it says June 19th, 1865, over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, slaves in Galveston, Texas are finally informed of their freedom. And it says Happy Juneteenth. And then it just gives an explanation of it, what happened and all of those things. So that's how I do it. I mean, I've seen people who never celebrated try to explain it, and they're like, yeah, that's when all the slaves were free in America. And I was like, just use Google. Just use Google. Just Google it, because you're not saying it correctly. And I've been to the George Washington Carver Museum in Austin, which has a whole section about Juneteenth. Like, it is amazing, and it explains it, but that's what I have always done, you know, and people, you can see comments, I didn't know about this, or I didn't know about that, or, you know, and then, so from there, I see people say, I'm going to search on this more and more. And so I'm glad more people are going to search about this and get the information they need, because I remember a few years ago, I always had friends that celebrated, but I remember a few years ago, people were like, well, that ain't for us. That happened in Texas. And I'm like, ain't you Black? Ain't you Black? That's when they got informed. That's our 4th of July, because the 4th of July they celebrate, we weren't free. We didn't get none of that barbecue. We didn't get none of them fireworks. You know what I'm saying? This is us. And I've been telling people that for years, and they'd be like, go on with yourself. You know, they would call me all sorts of, you know, women, the Sojourner Truth, all of those things. And I was like, because I'm celebrating our 4th, you know, our Freedom Day. Like, honestly.
Yeah.
And so that's how I just explain it. I let them know that this is what happened in Galveston, Texas. And it really is a celebration, you know, because I have a cousin who says, should we be celebrating something like this? Absolutely. Absolutely, we should be celebrating. And the festivals I've been to, they would always have all sorts of vendors there. Health vendors, Black-owned businesses, you know, everything. It was a celebration of our ancestors, because even though the other ones found out 2 years earlier, that's still our people down there.
Absolutely.
That's still us.
When one of us is suffering, all of us are suffering. And that's a mentality that it feels like over the generations has become less and less. But it in all fairness to what's going on today, I think this generation is moving back towards unity within our community. Black femicide has to be brought to the forefront. Just like I'm just going to leave that right there for right now.
Well, the way I look at what I'm doing is I liken it to Ida B. Wells and how she documented the lynchings across the South. At this point, I'm documenting the murders of Black women and girls across the country because it matters. Their lives mattered. You know, a lot of times people say, well, they were someone's sister, mother, aunt, or whatever. And that may be true, but our humanity should not be attached to what we represent to other people. Our humanity should just be because we are.
I wanna say something because you had, remember I was saying that that's us down there. Mamie Till, Emmett Till's mother, had said before her son was killed, she would say, stuff that happened to Negroes in the South, that's them. I'm up here. And she said after Emmett was murdered that what happens to Negroes in other places better be our business now. It better be our business now, because it could be you next. Exactly. And I also want to bring up something. So we talk about Black femicide, and I talk about it, Black History Facts. Now, I get a lot of pushback on Black History Facts, so sometimes I just like to leave it to the facts, but sometimes I bring up articles how say her name was started because Black women being killed by the police was largely ignored by Black Lives Matter. And so when it was started, when Say Her Name was started in 2015, it was to bring awareness. Black women and girls are often left out of every conversation. When you think back to the Civil Rights Movement and the Black Panther Party movement, right? Those things, of course, were for Black folks, but it was largely about Black males, because when you had Rosa Parks, who was an investigator, who was investigating Black girls, women being raped by white males, some of their employers, some who were kidnapped, Reese Taylor and other Black women, she was called back for a bus boycott. Imagine a bus boycott being more important than Black women and girls being brutally raped and gang raped by white males. When you think about it, there's always been more attention for Emmett Till, which it should be. Emmett Till was he was kidnapped, murdered, and everything. But you think about the 4 little girls. They were attending church and they were blown away by KKK members. Also, Black women were being lynched as well as Black males. You know, I covered that on my page, and people are like, I didn't know Black women were being lynched, because the narrative is that there's this narrative that Black males deal with more than we deal with, but we deal with racism, and then we deal with misogyny, sexism, and all of that. So we're not only dealing with racism and everything that comes with that, we're dealing with being women, and we're Black women. So people really, no matter what color they are, collectively, they don't care, because it's just Black women. It's just Black, you know, they got it. They'll be strong enough. When you look last year, Breonna Taylor was killed March 13th, right? People were still talking about Ahmaud Arbery, as you should. There's a Black Lives Matter Louisville chapter in Louisville. I did interviews with a protester in Louisville. He said he didn't learn about what happened in his own city until May, when it got onto the national stage.
Wow.
Black Lives Matter didn't see any purpose in having national and even a city protest in March or April. And then George Floyd gets killed, and she's put on the back burner again. She becomes It's George Floyd. It's George Floyd. It's George Floyd. Oh yeah, and Breonna Taylor. Remember Breonna Taylor? They weren't. They got the cops arrested in the George Floyd case, and everybody outside of Louisville went home. They weren't burning it down for Breonna everywhere. It was for George Floyd. It was for Rayshard Brooks. When they announced that they would be no charges in September, Louisville cut up. The world didn't cut up. I remember when they were coming down with this verdict for George Floyd, and I remember all over the world, if we don't get the verdict we want, we're going to do this. Where was this energy when they said there will be no charges for murder, anything dealing with Breonna Taylor in September? And you know what I get? Well, we didn't see her murder. So you want to see a Black woman take 6 shots? You need to see that to care? Because you didn't need to see Mike Brown. You didn't need to see Trayvon Martin. You didn't need to see that. So why do you want to see a Black woman shot 6 times in order to say, oh, we're going to riot? You know, a sister was killed in her house, gunned down by rogue cops who are now, I mean, we'll go before Breonna. Atiana Jefferson. She was killed, what, in October? The cop wasn't charged until December. There were no riots. There were no riots. We are always ignored. And I'm not lying. When all this stuff happened last year, I got told, you're being divisive. No, I'm being loud because what happened to Breonna could happen to me. And y'all gonna be quiet about it because they didn't film it?
Right.
You need to see my body hit the ground and be lifeless. You want to see that kind of trauma in order for you to care. It's not enough that you know that I was in my own home and I wasn't bothering anyone and I wasn't breaking any laws and they shot me to death. That's not enough. And it really bothers me how our lives are only useful to everyone when they need us to march, when they need us to protest, when they need us to be loud, when they need protection. Who is Sandra Bland, Rekia Boyd? There's a long list. Ma'Khia Bryant. Oh, that just happened. That just happened. And it's like everybody wants us to mule for them. And then when we say, hey, we need voices. We need you. We need boots on the ground. Well, you need to be Black first. So if I'm Black first, y'all ain't gonna never worry about any problems I deal with as a woman. That's what you're telling me? Oh, okay, I'm gonna be quiet because I talk a lot.
Well, before we close out, I just wanted to say that next week on the 26th, I will be attending a rally in Little Rock for Black women and girls. And it's really going to be specific to what's going on in Little Rock or in Arkansas as a whole. And then September 25th, is it? September 25th, we, Black Femicide, along with the Black Fem Fund, we are going to have a national rally in Atlanta, a march for Black women and girls and bringing awareness to what's going on. It's on our Facebook pages, so it's on all of our social media. So if you want to get involved, if you want to donate, if you want to become a vendor or whatnot, you can go to the page and all the information is there for you to link up and go forward with whatever information it is that you may need.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Everything that was said here today is important. And we need more of this. We need more discussion about this and more movement around this and action. Because yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, can we get those contact names and information up so that people can join in, follow in, and help any way they can, and also just keep abreast of what the ladies are doing out here in the world. I'm just saying a prayer over this entire screen right now, because I do know that anytime JaVonne has this saying that I've adopted. It's called "Be worthy of the bullet coming to get you," because anytime you present yourself as a disruptor of sorts, yeah, and I just want to say prayers for both of you, all three, all four of us, but you two particularly, in the work that you are doing, and you're standing in the face of all the adversity that comes with it, and super proud of you. Thank you for sharing your lives and stories with us. I hope you continue to do that. I'm following both of you now, and it's always great to get more information so I can do whatever I can, but again, we're all just
Sasha. Shout out to Sasha. I feel your energy. I feel you. We should have had you on here too, but
she works with us with Black Femicide, and she has Black Fem, and she's very passionate. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, things work out the way they're supposed to. But I just wanted Sasha to know that I see her and feel her energy as well. You ladies, and Terez is absolutely correct. I do have this saying, be worthy of the bullet that's coming to get you. Clearly, they will kill you just because you're Black. They will kill you just because you're a Black female. They'll kill some of us because we're gay. They'll kill some of us because. But you're not going to kill me just because I'm a Black female. You're going to kill me because I'm a Black female that talks about you killing Black females. You're not going to kill me because I'm gay. You're going to kill me because I'm a Black gay person who's waving a gay flag and doing things to bring out equity,
Here.
You're going to kill me because I'm a threat to change the thing that it is that you want to do to me. And that's worthiness. That's being worthy.
Yes.
Changing things that oppress, that kill, that slaughter. And you two are powerful examples of that. Do you think we have time to run for a quick rapid fire?
Sure, we can get through it. Okay, ladies, rapid fire is a word association game we do on the show. It's similar to, okay, I'll say a word, you say what immediately comes to mind, either or. It could be a one word, or it could be something that came to mind when I said the word. I'll go first, and then JaVonne will go second. It just kind of gives our folks a peek behind the veil of the person that we're talking to. Okay, so.
And since there's two of you, we'll do it so that Terez will say a word, and then one of you will say which one. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Okay. So then Carletta will say a word, and then Rosa will say a word right after her. Okay.
Oh, I love Cynthia G. And real quick, someone had asked about what I think about Kimberly, what's her name, Crenshaw started Say Her Name. I love it that she started that. Say Her Name has been co-opted by non-Black women, but we needed Say Her Name campaign because Black women being killed by the police and racist is a problem as well too. So yes, I'm gonna say her name, girl. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. My first word is community.
Love.
Caring.
Children.
Joy, most times.
Generations.
Black history.
Everything.
Longevity.
Melanin.
Beautiful.
Me.
And my last word is going to be United States.
Reparations.
Hypocrisy.
Okay, JaVonne, you're up next. Thank you, ladies.
Abraham Lincoln.
Trash.
Yeah, farce.
Black men.
Complicated.
Spellbound.
Black women.
Me.
Worthy.
Come on.
Freedom.
Costly.
Hard to attain.
Peace.
Needed.
What was the word?
Peace. Peace.
Peace. Needed.
Accountability.
Needed.
Hard to grasp.
It's only one word.
It's something that's hard to say with one word.
Agreed.
Reparations.
Now.
Overdue.
Sex trafficking.
End it.
Yeah, terminate.
Love.
Okay.
Love.
Beautiful.
Freedom.
And my last word, Shaka Khan.
I'm gonna say iconic.
Everything. Also, black men, I want to say they are beautiful creatures, and sometimes they can be a beautiful nightmare. But, you know, as you see, you know, I have 3 sons. So, you know, when people say, you hate black men, I was like, I've raised one. I was raised by one, a great one. I don't. I want accountability for everyone. Accountability for everyone.
Yes.
And I'm all about protecting black youth.
Yes.
They need it.
And that's what when I think of black love, that's what I think of is accountability and not making one feel more superior or inferior than the other. We really do need to come together. If we can exemplify black love, we would stop harming one another.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, there's this question. I'll let this question be answered. here's a question. Do you ladies think platforms like Tommy Sotomayor and
Melvin, get over here.
Samuels promote violence towards Black women?
I'm gonna say this. Kevin Samuels and Tommy have a platform because it's always a good idea to put Black women in their place. Cynthia G and Paris Milan and though they don't have a bigger platform than them, because how dare you want to hold Black men accountable, right? I'm gonna say something real quick. When Monique addressed Black women, everybody thought that was okay, right? Dave Chappelle or Monique would never tell Black men, don't you wear that do-rag in out in public, because you're not allowed to tell Black men anything. Tommy and Kevin Samuels have voices because collectively, as a community and other communities, they enjoy seeing Black women being put in their place. They enjoy it. It's enjoy. I don't listen to them, and I no longer get upset. I understand that they have an audience, and that's okay. But I want to make something clear. More Black people hate Candace Owens than they do Tommy Sotomayor. More Black people hate Candace Owens than they do Kevin Samuels. I mean, more Black people hate Candace Owens than they do R. Kelly, but that's a different situation.
Well, for me, I feel like Tommy Sotomayor and Kevin Samuels, while they both deride Black women, I do feel that Tommy Sotomayor tends to be more on the toxic side, and the people who follow him tend to be more of what you would call an incel. There is a man who was a follower of Tommy Sotomayor who murdered a woman. So when you're talking about incels and people who are dangerous to the community, who are very poisonous, I believe Tommy Sotomayor's rhetoric is more dangerous than Kevin Samuels. I've never watched Kevin Samuels, so I can't really give a true objective opinion on him. But I will tell you, I have watched Tommy Sotomayor, and I am aware of the different men who follow him, who actually preach hatred and harming Black women. So,
I like to add Tariq Nasheed to that conversation. And I want to add, Kwame Brown used to be a follower of Tommy Sotomayor until he recently gained popularity. And then he realized Black women are following me, so let me disassociate myself with Tommy. I just want to remind y'all. He also blamed Breonna Taylor for her own murder. So
yeah, I'm not really familiar with too many people on YouTube. Like, believe it or not, I'm not a big social media follower. It's mostly I follow old woman things like knitting and crafts and stuff like that. But when I do follow or when I do see things, I'll pay close attention to it. And I have 4 daughters, and they're 31, 27, 21, and 16. So I pay attention to what it is that they might be listening or, talking about, because the younger generation of Black women are dealing with far more toxicity than I ever had to endure, because I didn't have access to the internet like it is. When I was growing up, the internet was sounding like the Yahoo beeps and clicks, So we didn't have to endure what they do. They have a lot more toxicity to face than we do. So, you know, I just feel for our generation of Black women and girls, that's why I do what I do, to hopefully try to make it a better future for them and let them wake up to the reality that they're facing.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And who are those beautiful Black princes in your background, Carletta?
Those are my sons. As you see, Kelvin is not a happy camper. He's still asleep. And then we have Keelan. Keelan, say hi.
Oh, beautiful.
They have on their shirts. I'm representing them. They're representing me. So
that's what's up. That's what's up. Young kings. You know, y'all are beautiful, man. even Mr. Sleepy back there.
Kelvin.
This dude, now that's power. You can sleep standing up. I'm digging that. Teenagers, man, that's what's up. But yeah, defending black womanhood, that's amazing. And you know, teaching them from young, that's an excellent thing. That's what's up.
Hold on. So he said, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. He said he'd have to disagree with Tariq Nasheed. Let me tell you about Mr. Tariq Nasheed and his whole get down. Tariq Nasheed, I've gotten into it with him several times because he is a person that likes to pretend that Black women only face violence from non-Black men and African men, right? He also his whole hidden colors, giving the idea that Black women had a choice if they wanted to sleep with Massa. It was rape. There was no choice. You don't get to say no. You can say no and be brutally beaten. Tariq Nasheed has talked about Black women with a Black mother. How, because his wife has a white mom. How if you have a Black woman with a white mom, she's a little bit better. The other day, a Black woman was killed at a grocery store. She was a cashier because she told a man to adjust his mask. Tariq thought the shooter was white and he was giddy and he was, see Black woman, see Black woman. When he found out it was a Black man, he deleted it and no longer talked about it. He doesn't care about our lives unless it's a non-Black person taking it. And then he doesn't even care then. He just wants to say, see, when you date outside your race, see what happens. When it was the white football player that beat up his Black girlfriend, he was all over Twitter. But I remember him when it was Ray Rice. He didn't keep that same energy when Ray Rice knocked out his then girlfriend. Tariq Nasheed is on the same level as Tommy Sotomayor and Kevin Samuels, more of a Tommy Sotomayor. I don't have respect for Tariq Nasheed and his fake little history videos he put out. And his followers are something else. Listen, they don't like me at all. I've been called everything but my name by them. Black men. I've been called an agent. Every B word you can think.
An agent of what? What?
Because how dare I talk about Black femicide? And it's Africans killing y'all. Literally, that's not the case. Literally, it's not the case. But yeah, so I know the brother right there said he disagreed about Tariq Nasheed, but Tariq Nasheed is trash, and that's all I'll say.
Yeah, I was scrolling through Twitter the other day, and people were still up in arms about whether or not OJ killed Nicole, and I just had to say, if It was his first wife, the African American woman, the black woman. If she was murdered, nobody would be talking about that. White folks that's talking about it.
You
and the black folks who, chiming in.
Listen.
And
what happened between Nicole and them? That ain't my business. That wasn't my business. She won't.
I want to interject about a sports figure. I can't think of his name, but he killed his girlfriend, and she was pregnant, and the baby is now 18.
Peru.
Yeah.
Yes, Peru. And the baby is now 18, and he suffers from all these spastic disorders, cerebral palsy, I believe. And I can't believe that there are black men applauding the fact that he is now released, that the mother or the grandmother should let him be a part of this boy's life. It just mystifies me that black men can't see the harm, the psychological harm that they're doing when they, uphold certain things. They have no regard for the woman he murdered. In fact, people blamed her for her own death. And they have no regard for the psychological trauma that this mother has had. Her mother has been left to deal with and pick up the pieces of. Not only was she couldn't truly mourn the death of her daughter, she had to immediately go back into mommy mode and raise a disabled grandchild. And it's like the trauma of the black woman is so disregarded, but I do believe that has to do with the strong black woman trope that so many of women in our community fell prey to. But that's a double-edged sword, because had we not been strong, our community would probably be in worse of a shambles than it is. So some of us had to go into that strong mode because we had to keep families together. We had to keep, we just had to keep it together, but now we're in an age of the second age of enlightenment, I like to call it, where we see that, we kind of did ourselves some damage by taking on all of this trauma on our shoulders without getting the help that we needed, or even saying that we needed help. Now people, at least I can say black women, are not averse to going to therapy and asking for help. I still feel we got a long way to go, but I do see it, and in my practice, I do see more people, more black women coming into therapy and, asking for referrals and telling their girlfriends and other people, hey, talk to this person, she'll be able to hook you up with a therapist and, things of that nature. So, I just wish that it would go across the board, that, we all, I think all of us in our community are in need of some therapy. We really are, whether we believe it or not. We are, whether you've been a victim of abuse or not been a victim of abuse, you've been friends with somebody, it's trauma dealing with a person who has had trauma, because you're constantly listening to them and you're not a trained psychologist. So you start internalizing this. So that's why I say all of us collectively in the community, we need to come to the fact that we all need help, so we can start moving on and onwards and upwards.
And I want to add this, that in the history aspect of it, when you think about what our people have been through, slavery was over, it ended, and there was no time to sit down and analyze what just happened to you last week. You had to get to work. You had to find work. You had to, when you think of, I say this all the time, when you think about last week, I was a slave. This week, I'm not a slave, but I don't have time to sit down and say, I've just been through something traumatic. Then you have the next generation going through Jim Crow. They didn't have, when you think about how they grew up, their parents or their grandparents, there was never a time to sit down and say, this happened to us. We need to talk to someone. We need to do this. We need to do that. It was because we didn't have reparations. We couldn't just relax. We had to go to school. We had to go to work. We had to do these things. And you're dealing with everything. Think about, we can speak on reparations for survivors of Jim Crow. Think about, especially in the South, but in America, where people were being lynched, bodies hanging over here, and you can be dragged out your home and you're having actual race riots in your neighborhood, at the schools, church bombings, school bombings, everything you can think of. And every generation is told, okay, that happened to you. We got to march on. We got to soldier on. We got to soldier on. Think that, what does that do to the community when you go home and you have to, we as a community a long time ago should have said, we've got to deal with this. We've got to deal with the trauma, because our parents, our grandparents held in a lot of things. My grandparents didn't like to talk about how they grew up. They did not want to have that conversation. So anything that I learned how my parents grew up. They're from the South, Louisiana and Texas. I was born in California, but my grandmother never liked to talk about how she grew up. And you know, we have a lot of trauma and pain in our community as a whole, and what our ancestors have been through. And when I say my parents survived Jim Crow.
Yeah.
And
that trauma, I truly believe it becomes cellular. What you experience, it remains in your being, in your body, physically, and mothers pass it on. And it is genetic. It is so, and then you learn about it. And generationally, we carry this. I just want to say, because we're just about out of time, that actually we're almost a half an hour past time. This has been an amazing discussion. I hope that you understand, and I hope that it is therapeutic for you both, doing what it is that you do. And I hope that you understand the magnitude of the importance of what you do, what you're bringing to the society.
And please practice self-care, please.
Yes. In as much as this is a part of your own healing, you have to step away from it and just be. I want to thank both of you for coming through. There's so much more that we could unravel day by day, as you know, Carletta, and probably you too, Rosa, that day by day you can look at the calendar and say, okay, it's August 21st. On this day in 1900 or 1800 and whatever, something happened in our history. Every single day. The most important thing is to remember that our people survived, strived through things that normal human beings just can't survive through. One of these things, one day, would traumatize the average person for life.
They can't even talk about it, Jay. They can't even talk about it. They don't want us to even talk about things that you physically did to our people. It was not traumatic for you. There are pictures. There are stamped pictures with folks skinning and grinning at a damn lynching. Okay.
They would put the pictures on postcards and send it to friends and families. They would cut off body parts and sell those body parts. That's why I continue to do my page. I want you to visit my page. And some people get upset. Well, why do you show the picture? Because I want everybody to see. I don't want you to think that this is taken lightly. People were lynched. Children were lynched. Women were lynched. Black men we were lynched. We were murdered on this soil. on this soil alone. We ain't even going to talk about worldwide what they've done to Black people. But they have everywhere. Everywhere. And this is what I tell what I tell people of color. Natives, y'all owned slaves and you treated us like white folks did. But y'all weren't enslaved in other countries. We on every continent. Every continent. And it wasn't, hey, you're a slave. Wake up whatever time you want. Dinner and breakfast is waiting for you. So what we have survived and what we continue to survive is major, but we have to deal with it, and we have to say, we're never going to let people forget. I'm never going to let people forget. That's why Daily Black History Facts continues to go on every day.
Tell everybody how they can follow you, Carletta.
I'm Daily Black History Facts on Instagram and on Facebook. I'll be putting up stuff for today. Of course, it'll be Juneteenth. I suspect some non-Black people will be showing up. And that's okay. Just share it. Again, non-Black folks, if you're watching this, you want to know how you can celebrate it? Cash App your Black friends. Cash App a Black foundation or a nonprofit. Buy from a Black-owned business. Please. Don't go to that barbecue. Don't do it.
Make that part of your ritual to get your and solicit 20 funds a month ongoing and make that their mission as well.
Exactly.
That's how you do it.
And Rosa, how can people follow you?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and it's Black Femicide. It'll pop up when you put it in there.
How can people follow you, Terez? Somebody mentioned that you married to Monifa. Ooh.
They can follow me
in the comment. Did you see that? OMG, it's Monifa's wife. She is so much more than that. And yes, it's true. But yes, she's an amazing spirit. She is everything.
Listen, y'all two was preaching today too. Listen, I was like,
yeah.
Thank you. This was a really great show. Thank you for the stimulating conversation. And just being very specific in your approaches, both of you. Like, wasn't generalized. This is very specific work you're doing for a very specific population that specifically deserves this and so much more. Ladies, thank you.
Well, thank you for
having us. It's an honor.
How can they follow you?
Oh, I'm the Terez Michelle on all social media platforms. On IG, it's at T Michelle. And how about you, Silky Smooth?
Oh, me, I'm Jay Ruler on Instagram. Just follow in the basement with JaVonne and Terez on Instagram. You don't have to follow me. I mean, I'm not doing much anyway, just being me. And
yes.
We're also on Facebook, but most importantly, go to YouTube, follow and subscribe, hit the bell so you will know when we're live. All right, and that's it.
Thank you guys so much. It was an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And keep doing what you're doing.
He's awake now.
Not only is he awake, he's like, yo, look at me. What's up, dude? Welcome to the show. And let me just ask you guys real quick. What do you think of what your mom does on Daily Black History Facts? Do you guys look at the page? Do you look at the facts? Have you learned anything? Or are you like, that's just mom? What do you think?
I say mom does what she does, and I appreciate it, and I support it. I'm just gonna stay.
He said he's gonna stay neutral, which means he's ready for lunch.
Okay.
And
that's all right. Y'all, one day y'all gonna look back at this page that your mom has, and you're gonna be so very proud. If you're not proud already, you have no idea of the greatness, the great woman that's raising you, man. You guys are so fortunate. God bless. All right. And for everybody else, thank you so much for watching again and hanging out with us over time. We love you. Mwah. Everybody stay safe.
Bye. Thank you. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy
Happy Juneteenth.
It's time, y'all. It's time. It's this thing that I'm holding in my hand, this telephone, this camera. It is quite powerful. Social media is powerful. We can do something with this. If we want to change, we can really, truly make it happen. You know, we sit out here and talk about, oh, we need the next so-and-so and this and that. No, you don't. No, you don't. Start in your own home. Start with you.
Dark brown shade of my skin only adds color to my tears that splash against my hollow bones that rocks my soul. Looking back over my false dreams that I once knew, wonder why my dreams never came true. Is it because I'm black? Somebody tell me, what can I do? Oh, something's holding me back. I wonder, is it because I'm black? It is wonderful pity. I was raised in a ghetto city. She worked so hard, earned every penny. Oh, Lord, something holding me back. Is it because I'm black? Like a child stealing his first piece of candy and got caught. People around life's corner, but somewhere I got lost. Something is holding me back. I wonder, is it because I'm black? Somebody tell me, what can I do? Will I survive? Or will I die? Oh, it keeps on holding me back. Is it because I'm black?
Dark brown shades of my skin only add color to my tears. Oh, that splash against my hollow bone that rocks my soul. Oh Lord, looking back over false dreams that I once knew, wondering why my dreams never came true. Is it because I'm black? Somebody tell me, what can I do? Oh, something is holding me back. Is it because I'm black? Yeah.
Oh, something's holding me back. I wonder, is it because I'm black? Whoa, something is holding me back. Is it because I'm black? Oh, something is holding me back. Is it because I'm black? Oh, it keeps on holding me back. Is it because I'm black?
It's time, y'all. It's time.